Hello everyone, welcome to Code One, and in this video we are going to discuss about the exceptions in Selenium WebDriver. So while you're doing automation, you might face this topic exception, and this is really important to understand because in Selenium we have around many types of exception that we should know the behavior of those exceptions, like when what actions we should perform when we get this type of exception during the execution of our automation suite. Okay, so let's start this and very first understand what is an exception first. So in Java, an exception is an event that disrupt the normal flow of a program. Let's say something going to happen and we are executing a program. In between the flow of the program, execution of the program, in between the execution of the program, there is some error or something goes wrong. So in that case, what it should be the response? Let's say you are connecting with a third party application and you are predicting that resource is available, and at that time when your program is running, that resource is unavailable due to any reason. In that case, there should be an exception. So exceptions are the objects, we can say exceptions are the object that represent the runtime exception, runtime errors. So what is the error? So the exception are the name of those errors. Okay, so in Selenium, if specifically this is the overall definition, but Java work in many areas like desktop application, development, web application, but specifically we are talking about the automation. And in the automation we have a Selenium WebDriver, okay, that help us to communicate with the browser. And in this Selenium WebDriver, what are the different exceptions we have? We are going to discuss those exceptions in this video. Okay, so very common, let's say WebDriver exception is a root exception. Okay, we have like this is, we have a root class as an exception class, but after exception we have a runtime exceptions, we have a compile time exceptions, and then we have under the runtime exception we have this WebDriver exceptions root class extends runtime exception. Okay, and under this class, if you see any error into Selenium WebDriver, that will be extends this class WebDriver exception. So this is the root class of all the exception that is available into the Selenium WebDriver you face during your automation suite while you're running your automation. Okay, so we have some important here that we are going to discuss. Let's say very common and important one is no such element, and when this exception will come, this will come when some, let's say your automation script going to interact with an element that is not available into the correct DOM. It can be happen due to many reasons, like let's say your element is not available, you are using wrong XPath into your while you defining the XPath, or the page is taking time in load to, like there might be a network issue, so page is taking time and that element is not loaded properly over the web page. So in that case also no such element exception you will face. Okay, the next one we have a element not visible exception. It means the element is not interactable. Like before Selenium 3 it was element not visible exception, but it's deprecated now, and in Selenium 4 it's replaced by element not interactable exception. So now in case that exist that element is exist into your DOM, but it's not visible, okay, it's hiding somewhere. So in that case we will get element not interactable exception. Ensure and like what is the solution for that? We make sure that element is properly displaying into the viewpoint and we perform it's properly interactable. Okay, we will see detailed example in at the end of this video, like we'll see a practical example as well. So just I'm going to explain you architecture here. Like we have a stale element reference exception. It means during the execution, let's say some we are going to interact with an element and that page is got refreshed and then element is reloaded again. Okay, so in that case also we face this kind of a stale element. We'll see the complete example. So as per the architecture, what we have a root class as an exception class, and under the root class we have a runtime and a compile time exception. Under the runtime exception we have a WebDriver, and under this WebDriver we have all the exceptions like no such element, and you can read the name and you can understand the use of them. Okay, it's similarly like no such element, it means all element is not there, and not interactable means not visible. Stale element, it's got rephrased. Or timeout exception, let's say we are using wait over there and it reach our maximum time limit, then it will throw the a timeout exception. No such a window, let's say you are trying to interact with a window, that window is not available into the DOM or into the driver to interact with the driver. No such a frame, let's say you are dealing with some iframe things and let's say you are trying to find out a iframe that is not available over the page. So no such a session, invalid session, invalid selector element exceptions, invalid element state exception, JavaScript related exception if you are using iJava executor over there, move target out of bound exception, let's say you are using drag and drop or you are using actions class some methods over there, and that where you want to move your cursor or move your controller, that target is not available. Okay, some general exceptions related to the logs and all that, some network related exceptions are there. So these are the different types of exception we face, but there are some important 5 or 6 are common one that we mostly face over there and we need to know to understand or for the interview purpose. So in that case, in like these 5 or 6 I will explain you in some next in some time. So before that, just understand 3 points about about these exception scenarios. Like all exceptions, all Selenium exception originate like all the exceptions are coming from the WebDriver exception. Okay, this we already understand, and this is which is extended Java runtime exception. After that, we have exceptions are categorized into element, session, JavaScript, and like we have categorized them. Like if it is related to the Windows exception, then it will be a window exception. Okay, it will be a iframe exception, it will be a no such element, means we are doing categorize them according to their properties. Like, and how can we handle them? So we have a different way that we will see in a while. With examples, the first one or important one is a try catch block. Under the catch block, we can put different baits over there, different versions are there. Let's say there is a loading issue and we can implement the explicit bait over there. And let's say we are predicting like there should be an exception, or in that case I need to perform this action. So in that case I can use try catch, and in catch block I can perform my my action. Okay, so at the very top, we have a no such element exception over there. What is the reason for this? This is that the element cannot be found into the DOM. What is a DOM? DOM means a document. Okay, so let's say you navigate to google.com and this is your page. Okay, and inside this, once that complete page is loaded in this DOM, if any element is not found, like you are trying to interact with about or store or this search box, input box, this mic and all, if this is not available, it might be a many reason, like the network is not properly working in the machine, so it's taking time to loading. Okay, the server is down, let's say server is processing slow, server is not available, let's say there can be a many reason. You are writing a different XPath, you are writing a wrong XPath, in that case also it impact and we face the same issue. So let's take an example and see how can we handle this and how and when we get this issue. Okay, so let's say I have this main method into my Eclipse, and let's create a WebDriver. Here WebDriver driver equals to new Chrome driver. I'm going to run my script with the Chrome and here let's say driver dot navigate to the URL that I'm going to run is google.com, and here what I want to do, I want to interact with the element. Like let's say I want to interact with this button, right? So let's say I'm right clicking on it, inspect element, and what option we have? We have an option button name is btnk. Okay, and I guess this is a unique one, so I can say yeah, it's unique. No, two is there. Let's interact with the input. Okay, so for input we have a name as a queue, so I can create XPath of this text area, like text area, and here I can pass at the rate name equals to queue. Yeah, this is my XPath, and I want to interact with this input. I want to send some text over there. So what I do, driver dot find element by dot XPath, right? And currently this is a XPath that's working fine, like it will work fine. And let's say the last, I'm going to quit my browser, so I can say driver dot quit. Okay, and we are interact with this element, and we are going to say dot send keys, and we are passing hello to Google. Let's run this script and check it will work perfectly, because we are trying to interact with the element and we have a correct XPath of it. But so let's say I'm doing some mistake here into the XPath and I'm passing some wrong XPath. Okay, and let's run it now. You will see this element is actually now not available because we are trying to access a wrong XPath over there, wrong element. Okay, so in this case the compiler will give us error. Okay, you can see, then find in this here we can say find element using XPath Chrome browser, and these errors are there if you check the detail about it. But how I know, you can see here it's showing no such element exception, no such element, unable to locate this element. But I want, we can handle it as well. I will show you how can we handle, and we can overcome. Sometime if we use correct XPath, then also we can fetch this by, because it might take time to load that page, take time to load. So how can you handle this in that situation? The first thing, you can implement the wait over there. Okay, so let's implement a WebDriver wait. WebDriver wait equals to, now you understand how can we handle this in case if you are using the correct text path and correct, everything is correct, but still you are facing this element, this exception. How can you handle this? So what we can do, WebDriver wait equals to new WebDriver wait. Okay, WebDriver wait, and we can pass a driver and duration here. So let's say duration, it should be duration dot of seconds, let's say 20 seconds. So we are putting explicit wait over there, and this wait will help us to wait until this element is loaded properly on the page. Okay, so we can say it over until expected condition. We can pass here expected condition dot visibility of element located by, or we can directly pass the element also into the visibility of, but we can using by locator. So we can use this, not this one, not a all locator. We are going to call a specific visibility of element located by, and we can pass the locator here like by dot XPath, and we can pass the XPath here, and yeah, that's fine. Right now it should not throw that exception. Okay, because it will wait for a time, it explicitly it will wait for 20 seconds if this element is taking time to the load. So in this way you can handle this. But currently you are seeing, you can see in the console we are getting a red things and we are getting exception over there. So how can we handle the exception in Selenium or in Java or any programming? So we have try catch blocks over there, if you know the basic programming. And yeah, okay, it's waiting here, but after loading the page we have to keep this condition. Yeah, I'm changing the location and going to rerun it again. Just run it again. Now it will load the page, wait for some time in case the loading is taking time, but my internet is quick, so it's not taking any time, so it will work without wait as well. And how can you handle the wait, how can you handle the exception? Now let's say this is the risky code where I'm using my XPath.
okay, where the element that exception can occur. So I will create a try catch block quickly. Try catch block, and under this try block I will write my code, my risky code. And with which exception we are dealing right now? No such, we can say no such element, no such element from Selenium, OpenQS Selenium exception. And let's say if you want to see the exception, what we can do, we can e.print a stack, so it will print our exception over there. Okay, apart from this, we have a final also. So in the final, what finally block, in this finally block, what we can do, we can keep this driver.quit. If you are aware with the working of finally, you should know, like in case of in case of error or not error, the finally will execute always. So let's run this and see is it quickly working now, and it will show in case if the exception is available, but currently the exception is not there because we are using everything is correct. But let's say again I'm doing some mistakes in this XPath and I am forcing to get the exception. So what message I will see from this print stack? The message will be same, like we are handling we are getting some exception. Okay, you can see. Okay, it's printing. Let me do a SOP. Sysout. Under the sysout, I'm going to print a dot message, e dot get message, and let's get a message. Error is exception is, and I'm going to print it again. Let's right click, run it as a Java application. Okay, here it's printing our message. Exception is no such element unable to connect, and then it's throwing that no such element exception unable to connect, and connect all the details are there. But we are, you can see we are handling, but still we are getting this message over here because no, this one is not the one. And hello, we are sending this. Let me check no such element exception. I'm just doing the same, and it's coming from OpenQA only. And if I print this, I comment this print stack, it will not show anymore, I guess, the red numbers. Perfect. Now it's only showing the message that we are printing from as a sys out here. Okay, so that print stack will print that message into your console. So that's it all about the no such element exception handling. You can handle this like this, and to overcome with this, like if you want reduce the chances of this exception, you can use wait like this, explicit wait with your driver. And what are the chances of this? You are might writing a wrong XPath, or that your network there is a network issue, the page is taking time to load, not able to load in a proper DOM, like into that DOM on a particular time. So that time also you will face this issue. So the element cannot be found into the DOM. It means your documentation. What are the solutions we have? Ensure the correct locator, ID, XPath, and selector is used, and use explicit wait to wait the element to appear. Okay, this example we have just seen.
So to discuss about the element not interactable exception in Selenium. And if you know about the element not visible exception, this is deprecated now and replaced by element not interactable in Selenium 4. If you are using lower version, you might get this exception that says element not visible, and but if you are using Selenium 4 or higher than 4, you will get element not interactable exception. And in this video we're going to discuss about like how we can solve this exception if you are facing in your automation script. So first thing, let's understand the cause of why the reason behind this exception. The element exists in the DOM but is hidden or not visible. In case some element is available into your document object model and but that is not interactable, it might be hidden. Right. Solution. What are the solution? We can implement the wait and make sure this element is visible properly into the viewpoint. It should not be hidden. And the second thing, we can, if website is using scrolling sometime, like let's say the element that we are going to interact, that is available in the bottom of the page but that is not in the viewpoint, so that time also we face this kind of exception. And let's check a real-time example by using this test URL. Let me show you where you can get this and how will we solve it. So we'll see one example in a script as well. So as you know, I navigate to this URL and click on the example one, and here click on start. You can see it's loading now, and after some time it's showing me hello world. So let's say, what if I interact this I want to interact with this hello world heading before just quick after this start. Okay, in this case, like it's loading, while it's loading it's hidden over there. Okay, so let's create a script for this. So if I move to my Eclipse, I have created this basic script like we have done the setup in Selenium 4, and I'm using Selenium 4, and this is the basic setup that we have done to launch the browser, maximize the browser, navigate to the URL, and then we click on the example one, means here this link. This is the XPath of this, and here we have a located hidden element, like you can say the element of that hello world. Okay, so this is has a by ID finish. Let me show you where is that ID. So if you go here, inspect element, you will see this ID. So this is the XPath of this division, this element, and we are trying to find the hidden text over there. And next we have this element. So in this element we are calling a hidden text dot display method, so it will return true or false if this element display or not. And then we are going to click on the start button and then try to access this one, like first click on this and then we'll click on the start button here, right? And then we will interact with this element and print the exception, what exception we are getting. Okay, here also we will see the false. So let's run this, and if check the output, then we'll see how can we solve this exception. This is the way to get the exception. This may be a case, right? You can see this message is printing here, this one, before clicking start is displayed as a false, it's returning false. And now into the exception we are printing our exception that we are getting from this exception object here. So we are getting element not interactable exception. So in this case you will get, so what can be a case if your interviewer asking you to explain me the exception when we get this exception. So sometime that element is hidden, when element is hidden or not able, like it's not visible for the driver, it's not available for the driver. So in that case, this kind of situation we face. Now how can we solve this problem? So to solve this problem we have some solutions, like we can use wait. Okay, we can use wait to make it into a visual, and yeah, we'll discuss this important point later. Okay, so how can we use a wait over there? So web, make sure while you using wait, you should use explicit wait only. Here wait WebDriver, sorry, WebDriver wait, WebDriver wait equals to new WebDriver. Just create an object of a WebDriver and pass our driver and the time span. If you know the wait handling in Selenium, then you can easily implement this, and this like wait implementation is the solution of this problem. I'm not sure the durations. Yeah, duration of, we can say, second, and I'm putting 10 second here. So this we are using explicit wait, and let's put a condition over there. So wait dot wait until expected conditions dot. So we can say visible of, we can check one condition here, visible of bev element. We can say we have a bev element as a hidden text. So it will wait until this condition meet, and maximum time span will be 10 seconds. And then only it will click on this, hidden element, right? So what I can do now, I can click on the start button, and then after this wait, I'm going to print this. Okay, in this case it should not print this thing. Okay, let's say I'm giving it 10 seconds, that's more enough, I guess. So I just run it again, loading the page. Click on the page, it's loading, but it will wait. Maximum time span will be 10 seconds. So now you can see it's entering, and it's checking here only, and it's throwing false, but after wait it's not printing this, it's able to click here, right? So in this way you can handle the exception. Okay, element not interactable exception in Selenium 4. And another thing, some important points are there about it. So just go down and check here. When you clicking hidden text before it appears, like you are trying to click on a element or a element that is hidden over there, this will throw an element not interactable exception. But when you using is display before the element is visible, this will work but didn't throw any exception. It means this thing that we are using here as a display, it's not throwing any exception, but it's returning true or false. So this method, just this is the important point, this method will not return any, method will not return any, not throw any exception. It will just display true or false message. StaleElementReferenceException in Selenium Java, and this is most important interview question while you are attending the interview for Selenium automation or automation testing. And this is from the exception point of view, or you can say from the topic of exception, this is the most important one, and they must ask this question. So let's discuss about it, when we get this exception and how can we handle this exception in Selenium with Java. So as the definition says, StaleElementReferenceException occurs when an element is no longer attached with a DOM. As you already know, DOM is a document object model that contain all the elements that are available over the page, over the web page. So when this element, the assigned element, is not available in that attached DOM, in that case we get this stale element reference exception. What it means, I will explain you in with practical exam as well. So it happens when the page is refreshed. Let's say you are trying to like you open to navigate to, you navigate to the google.com, and you are trying to interact with the element, and then you suddenly refresh the page, and then again trying to interact with the same element. In that case you will case the reference like stale element reference exception. Or in case of navigate to the another page, the control is on the different page, the element get updated. Okay, in case of the JavaScript reloads after the page. Okay, in case of the element is removed or re-added over the page, right? So for the testing purpose, we are going to use this example, this URL for example. So here we are going to read the data of any of them, this data, but we will navigate to this URL, we will read this data, and then refresh this page, and then again read the same reference, element. Okay, let's do it practically and see what happened and in what case we got this error. Okay, so let's create a class, and I'm using Eclipse for that. So in this testing drive, I'm going to create a class name as a reference exception example, I can say. And here I'm going to create a main method and write a quick script. So I can say I can create an object of WebDriver driver equals to, I can say, new Chrome driver, okay, and then we can maximize it, driver dot manage dot window, you can say window dot maximize. Yeah, now let's navigate to that URL. So driver dot navigate to URL. I'm going to pass this URL in this comment, and what URL we have for testing, we have this URL to load the dynamic content. And then I'm going to print a message here. So let's say sysout before refresh the page before refresh the page. And what we are going to do, first let's find out the element. Okay, so let's say I want to get the data of this paragraph. Okay, this is the dynamic data, you can see it's every time it's changing. Okay, so how can I do that? Let me inspect the element and find out the way what element we have. We have text, but it's automatically changing, so we have an option for a class, so we can use this class 10. And let me check, is it available? Okay, so we have 4 element with this dot class name. Okay, with this large class we have a 4 member, so let's find out only one. So we need to communicate with our first index only, so I can do web element equals to driver dot find element. I'm not getting the list, so I'm not using the elements, I'm just trying to get the first index for that CSS selector. So I'm going to select by CSS selector, and I can pass that name here. Okay, so it will get the first element with this CSS selector and will store this in this reference of web element. Okay, now before refresh the page, what I want to do, before refresh the page, I want to get the text of it. So I can, let's say, before refresh the page, before refresh, and let's print it element dot get text. Okay, I'm trying to get the text here. Now let's say somehow I'm forcefully from my automation script, I'm going to refresh this. Okay, so I can use driver dot navigate to refresh, not a to directly refresh we have, so we can refresh it. And now again after refresh, and again after refresh, I'm going to trying to get this text from that, okay, from the same element, okay, from this ELE, and let's see what will be the output. So I'm going to run this script now. So it's launching, maximize the browser, navigate to the URL, and yeah, its execution is done. Check the console. If you see here into console, we have a message before refresh. We have read the first paragraph, but but after that we are getting a exception. Okay, and the name of the exception, if you notice here, this is StaleElementReferenceException. Okay, because that element reference is not available, because we like this element is no more available, this element reference, this thing is not available because it's refreshed. And where it's not available, it's not available into the current DOM. Okay, DOM means document object model, that contain all the elements for this page. Okay, when it will refresh, and we are again trying to do it. But the important question is, how can we solve this? Now, how can we solve this? So To solve this, we can reassign it. And how can we reassign it? After refresh, what I can do, ele dot element, this element, I'm going to assign this element again. So driver dot find by element, or I can copy this line of code again here. Okay, so what we are doing, even after refresh, we are reassigning this element to a value to a xpath or by selected value, and we are again finding it, and then we are trying to print, and this time it should print both the okay, and the execution is done. Now you can see it's printing both before refresh, and I guess there should be a after refresh as well. Search here into console. Yeah, here's your after refresh. So in this way you can handle it. And now how can you use it in a try catch? Okay, so how can we use it in try catch? Let's say I'm using the same code, I'm just commenting this, and to handle this exception, and let's say this line of code, I'm going to use my try catch. And yeah, sorry, and we need this line of code here, and I can change its name as a after. Yeah, and here we can call a method stale, a class StaleElementReferenceException. Okay, this will be, and now even if I not reassigning it, it will not throw the error, but it will show the exception. Let me show you the message here. So I can say sysout, no, not this one, sysout, and our exception e dot get class name, sorry, not a cause, it should be get class dot simple class name. Okay, so in this way we can handle the exception by using try catch, and we can add the risky code over there, but it will not throw errors over your console. Instead, it's showing a proper message like there is a stale exception, stale exception. So in case, what we can do, we can reassign this, or we can update our code. Okay, so best way to, so in the interviewer I'll ask what is a stale element and what is a stale element exception. So you just need to remember, in case that that interactable element is not available into the current DOM, that there can be many reasons. The page is refreshed, the user is navigate to the other URL, or the page is auto reloaded, some dynamic contents are there, that some dynamic contents are there, the page is not loading properly. Okay, so in this case, after reading it first time, might be some network error is there, so the controller or driver is not going to not able to access that element. In that case, we face the StaleElementReferenceException in Selenium Java, right? And this is the quick example, and hope you understand this. And in the same example, we can understand the timeout as well. So I'm using the same example that I was using in the last tutorial, and if you are not aware with it, just check the description box. I will put the link, or you can check the playlist for the interactable exception. So to handle the interactable exception, we were using wait over here. Like we have a 10-second wait, and we are waiting for the 10 second to get loading of this hello world text on this page. So if you go to this URL, this is my dummy URL where we are performing testing, and when you click on this example one, and then you can click on the start, and this is the loading. For this loading, we are using that 10-second wait, and we are going to interact with this hello world. Okay, after 10 seconds. So the wait can handle, because waiting for the 10 second, it might be get into the 9 second, 8 second, 7 second. It will wait for that particular time until that loading happen, and then it will allow us to interactable with that element. Okay, this wait will handle it automatically, but and it's throwing, like it's the stop throwing that interactable exception. But if I reduce it 2 seconds, like the maximum waiting time should be 2 seconds, and let's say let's take an execution, and check is it ending in 2 seconds or not. If this will not reach till 2 seconds, it will display as a timeout exception. I think it's more than 2 seconds. It should show. Okay, it's showing here. Yeah, here we have a OpenQS Selenium timeout exception. Okay, so it's waiting for maximum 10 second. Maximum it's trying to wait. Sorry, it's trying to wait for 2 seconds, and in 2 seconds that page that hello world text is not visible. That's why we are getting this error timeout exception. Now again, how can we handle this? So again, use the same weight and just increase the weight. So maximum, and it's not a maximum, this is a maximum weight. Let's say if element this weight this condition is true in 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, then it will continue the execution. It will not wait for the remaining session, remaining seconds or remaining time over there. So let's quickly run it, and now it will be fixed and then start working again. So this is a quick video for timeout exception in Selenium Java. If you like the video, please subscribe. Code 1. So the no such window exception in Selenium. When you get this exception, and how can we solve this, and what are the different parameters, different like situations where you can face this. So this is again available into the same package, OpenQS Selenium, no such a Windows exception, the name of the exception, and it will throw like this. This is the real-time exception you will see. And why it's we will get this exception, because we are trying to switch a window that does not exist. Let's say I'm currently my automation working on this drive, and I open accidentally, or the application behavior open this new tab, right, something like that, and navigate to the Google or some other tab. So now you have a multiple windows, right, and you have, let's say you have closed these two and then trying to interact with the google.com. In that case, the window where the google.com is loaded, in that case we face this no such window exception, like that window is not available. Okay, so if you read the definition here, the no such exception in Selenium occurs when a script attempt to switch to a window that no longer exists. This can happen in the scenario where a new window open and then close before Selenium tries to interact with it, right? And let's create one example where we are going to understand by the help of the script. We'll write the script in Eclipse. Okay, closing some of my browser here. Okay, so scenario says here, let's consider a real world scenario where a user click on a link that open a new tab, new window, and the script attempt to switch to a new window, and before switching the window, it closed by the user or application behavior. In this case, Selenium throws no such exception. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to navigate to the Google page, and here I'm going to open a new tab. Then I will close this tab and then interact with that new tab that I have already closed, and then see is that exception is coming or not. Okay, so for example, to show you the real-time example, I'm writing this script. So let's say I'm going to create a new class over here. This time the name of exception with the class will be no such exception example. You can keep it anything, I'm just using for a example purpose, right? And here I'm going to create a main method where I can say WebDriver driver equals to new Chrome driver, and here we can say driver dot manage dot driver dot navigate to, and we can put a page google.com, or let's say enter the real-time URL, this one, and yes, it's there. And then I'm going to open a new tab, right? So for the tab, I'm going to use a JavaScript executor. So how can I do that? Let's say create an object of JavaScript executor and just cast it into a driver dot execute a script, and here into the script we can pass window command windows dot open. I'm not sure it's window or windows, but it should work window dot open, right? And yeah, it will open a new tab over there, and then let's take a handle, like let's take a list of the windows that is available into the driver. So I can say driver dot get window handlers. So it will return the list of all the windows that is available, and let's create array list to store them so we can retrieve them by a get method. So I can say list, and let's create a string type, and we can say a string list equals to new array list, and we are going to passing this window handler. That is, this will return a set of a string that we are going to convert into copying into the string, a string type of list. And then what can I do? I can close the current window. Okay, and so let me close it. Now that this driver will be close this tab that we have open here, and now, and this will be, I guess, index 1. So I can do for each loop here, and let's try to interact with this handle, and we can name it as a handles, not list. So handle in list, and I can say handle.get index 1. So this will be the window of new tab, and 0 will be our current window. So what can I do here? Windows at handle gate. Well, I'm trying to switch on this window. So what can I do? Driver.switch, switch to window, and we can pass this window over there, right? So in this case, this should be throw, because this index 1 exception is not available over there because we have already closed it. Okay, and there is a difference between quit and close. So this will only close the current window. And yeah, so we can use try catch over here, so to print the exception and check the output, and we can say catch exception, and we can give it a specific exception as well, but for now, for output, we are using just the root class exception only. And here e.print a stack to print it, and let's say if you want to print any console message, we can also do that by using exception is, we can say e.get class name, get class dot get simple name. Yeah, this will print a simple name over there. Use the plus icon, and let's run it. Okay, it's not a handles, it's handle. Okay, even we don't need a full loop here, sorry, and we are directly going to get the data of this list. Okay, we don't need to retrieve it. Yeah, that's fine. So okay, so a script is ready, and let's do it. Let's run it and check the output. Oh, sorry, it will return out of index because we are directly getting it. So it's giving us an index out of bound because this is not the, it's already not in that current window. So what we can do, we can open it here as well. So before closing, I'm going to interact my driver to with this handle that is available on this index 1, and then I'm going to close it, and then again I'm going to interact it. At this time it will throw exception because it's already closed. And to open a new tab we can use the function, right? And window.open, that is a function. Okay, I just rerun it, and it's navigate to there, open a new tab and quickly close it. And yeah, it's throwing exception here, no such window exception. To if you want to close see this close, we can use thread.sleep for a while here, thread.sleep, so you will be able to see 2000 second, we can say, so sorry, millisecond, will throw an exception. Yeah, for 2 seconds it will hold before close it. So it's open a new tab, creating a collection of the windows and closing it, and again trying to access that thing, you will get this exception. So you have to make sure to solve this, you have to make sure you are not trying to interact with any window that is not available over there, and you can print the exceptions over there. Yeah, that's it about the no such window exception, and this is the way where you can produce it. And this can be a situation where you will face this no such a window exception, so you can check these things while you're working. There should not be any window that is already closed and you are trying to interact with it. About the no such frame exception in Selenium, so let's understand when we get this exception while we're working with automation. So no such exception occurs when Selenium tries to switch to a frame that does not exist or had been removed from the DOM. DOM means document object model. So let's say I'm going to use, or I'm going to switch, or I'm going to interact with any frame that is not available on the page. In that case we will get this no such frame exception. Okay, and let's take a real-time scenario where like open a web page that contains an iframe, try to switch to an incorrect frame frame name or index, and then you will get this information. For testing purpose, I'm going to use this URL here. I'm going to copy this, and we are going to interact with the iframe that is not, like, it has a iframe, but we will create some invalid iframe. So let's say we have XPath here, iframe name as invalid frame, and then you will see you will not get this, right? So in this case we will get this exception, and let me dive to the okay, it's working here. So I already have this script. To save the time, I'm going to run this and I will explain you what I'm doing here. So let me copy this, and it's working slow, man. Okay, go to web.java, and it has a basic setup, and let me quickly copy it here. Okay, so what we are doing, this is the basic setup: creating object of Chrome driver, maximize the browser, navigate to this URL, and then we are trying to switch on a iframe. So how will we switch, or how will we interact with iframe? If you know that driver does switch to frame, and we'll pass the name of the frame, ID of the frame, XPath of the frame, and here we are going to try to interact with a iframe that is not a valid. Let's say what is the valid iframe here, and if you find here, let me check. If I search here as a iframe, yeah, this is the iframe we have, and we are calling iframe by its name, and you can see this is the ID we have, and the leaderboard main ID. Under this division we have iframe, so we have to get the like path of this iframe, and then we can interact with this iframe. But we are just adding some random number, some random ID, and if you see what are the different methods we have here into the iframe that we can interact. So we can say switch to frame, and we can pass the locator. Okay, we can pass the name or ID, or the bev element. We can also pass the frame element. So these are the default methods, and let's say I'm just passing the random numbers and see what happening now. And we are to print it, we are using print stack to getting exact message, what we can say, we can again use e dot class name dot get simple name of this exception, so it will display. So let's quickly run it. I just run as, and it's a Java application. Let's open the browser, maximize it, navigate to there and check the console. I guess it's waiting for a while. Yeah, so it's waiting and execution is not done yet, it's in process, you can see here. Yeah, it tried to find over there no frame element by this id. You can see the exception we are getting here, no such frame exception. So when we get this thing, when we are trying to access a frame that is not available into our document object model in means in DOM, we are when we get the no such frame exception when we are trying to access a frame that is not available into current DOM. Okay.
Or no cessation exception in Selenium. When we get the exception with this exception, and how can we solve this or handle this by using try catch block? Okay, so as the name suggests, no such exception means the driver session is invalid or has expired. Like our Selenium script is always running on the browser, right? And let's say in between some by some actions or some system crash, the Chrome is crashed or it's closed and there are no more browser instances running. In that case, you will get this no such exception. So how can we resolve it? We can restart the driver session, or we can we can recreate the new Chrome driver object, and then we can use the same driver. Okay, so let's quickly dive into my Eclipse and create a example of it, how you can see this exception in your console, right? So here in this app, or let's create a new class. I'm going to create a new class for this. So as no such exception example, and here I'm going to create a main method. And in this main method, let's create an object of WebDriver, and I just say WebDriver driver equals to new Chrome driver. And here into driver, I can say driver dot manage dot Windows. I can say, oh sorry, not a wait. It should be Windows dot maximize. Right, it will maximize the window, and then let's navigate to one URL. Navigate to, and for a testing URL, I'm using the same that I've used in the last example, and I want to navigate to this URL. But after navigating, I'm going to close the browser. Okay, so driver.quit I'm performing, and then let's say I want to try to refresh the page. Driver.navigate to refresh, or we can say, yeah, refresh, or we can perform any browser option. So in this statement, at this statement, the browser will be quit. It means the session is like browser will be closed, and there will no session, no value for this in this driver, for this Chrome driver. And in this case, again, if we will try to access this driver, it will show us a no such a session. So let me run the code quickly and see what we are getting. Are we getting the exact exception? So it's loading the URL, and now if you see this console errors, you will see no such session exception is shown here, right? And if you don't want to see this thing over here, like the exception, what we can do, as we are doing, the best way to handle that exception, use try catch. So I just write this code into the try block and another catch block. I know what exception is there, so it's no such no such session, no such session exception from this. Also, I can print the name of the exception if I want. So let's do a SOP sysout e dot class name dot get simple class name.
So now let's run again, and you will not see this kind of error messages over there, exception message. You just see a simple class name over there. So I'm running it again, and now it's loading the browser. URL is loaded, and you see just the name of the exception. So now hope you understand when we get this exception. If interviewer asks you the question like what is a no such session exception, you know, in case you can answer them like once let's say the script is running on a current browser and there's some due to some reason the browser is crashed or closed or something happened with browser session. In that case you will get this app this session and is closed and you are still trying to access the session of, you can say, the browser session, and then it will not found the session, then it will throw an exception, no such exception, no such session exception in Selenium. So thank you for watching. If you like the video, please subscribe, code one. In case any question, please comment out. Thank you.